This cruise video might feel a little bit like a roller coaster, so buckle up. My friends, we've all noticed it. Cruise prices are dramatically on the rise, and I hear from so many of you in the comments section. And thank you so much for commenting, by the way, because I love to hear your input. But I hear from many of you that you never pay that much for a cruise, and you'd prefer to take a land-based vacation for the prices you're seeing lately. And from others, I hear that you're not going to cruise at all until they start dropping their prices to where they used to be. First off, I don't blame you one bit. I'm so tired of paying what everyone is rightfully calling the new cruise ship tax. And I'm actually going to be doing a detailed breakdown on the origins of this so-called tax in a future video. So please be sure to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss it. But for those of you who wonder if cruise prices will continue to escalate or drop in the future, there are two factors we need to explore. The first one is obvious. Are people willing to pay the higher prices we're seeing? And the second is closely related to that. Are people able to get comparable vacations that aren't cruises for less money than what they'd pay for a cruise? Because if comparable land-based vacations are still higher than cruises, then we might see even more price increases from cruise lines. So in my usual real-time fashion, I'm going to compare some prices for you and see if together we can find a land-based vacation with better prices than a cruise. Please keep in mind that I'm not a travel agent. I pay for all my cruises just like you do, and I'm completely unsponsored, so I'm unbiased and not trying to sell you a vacation. If you like this kind of unsponsored content, I hope you'll help me out by hitting that subscribe button. So for our cruise that we'll compare, let's go with the Icon of the Seas first because it's new, but not completely new. I'm choosing dates that aren't around spring break because spring break makes prices a whole lot harder to swallow. And yes, I did recently go on a spring break cruise and I posted a video all about it, and I don't particularly recommend it. But that's just me. And for the beautiful Icon of the Seas, I see that a week-long cruise for two in a balcony cabin for the week that I've selected is $6,142.56. As I'm sure you know, that includes a lot of food and entertainment. It does not include alcoholic beverages. And I'm not going to tack on a package that does because prices vary dramatically. And to be honest, I don't think many of us actually drink enough to justify the added expense. I bring my own wine on the cruise ship. Yes, you can do that. On Royal Caribbean, it's 1 bottle per person of drinking age in your cabin, and that's more than enough for me. But please always check on the current policy of whatever cruise line you're going on because the policies do vary, and they also change from time to time, even depending upon what kind of itinerary you have. And I factor in about $50 a day for other drinks like bourbon for my husband and an occasional frappuccino for me. So let's tack on an additional $350 for drinks rather than what the drink package would cost us, which varies, but a good price is considered to be about $140 per couple per day, which would be $980 for this cruise. So you can see why I opted to just pack wine and factor in a drink allowance. So that brings us to $6,492.56. Now let's try to find something similar on land. And for our first comparison, let's head straight to Sandals, which is a very well-recognized brand of all-inclusive destinations. For this one, I'll go with Sandals in the Bahamas. Have you ever been there? Let me know in the comments below if you have. As you can see, I'm including airfare in this from Miami, since the comparable cruise ship was out of Miami. And while it's impossible to really compare apples to apples in this, I'm trying to get it as close as I can. I'm going with the exact same week as the Icon. And look at this price of $8,609.74. That's over $2,000 more than what the Icon price was, even when I included in an allowance for alcohol. For that matter, you could likely book the Icon trip plus the ridiculously overpriced drink package, and even throw in a shore excursion or two before you hit the price of what you'd pay at Sandals. And that, my friends, is exactly what has me very concerned that Royal Caribbean and other cruise lines might increase their prices even more than what we're already seeing. But let me dig a little deeper. and let's head straight to Costco, the one place where I have had some luck getting really good vacation deals. And this time, let's head to an all-inclusive resort in Cancun called the Grand Fiesta Americana Coral Beach. And of course, I'm not just going to randomly pick a place without first checking on TripAdvisor to make sure it's got good reviews. And holy mother of all that is good, these photos are really getting me sold on this place. Have you ever been here before? I haven't, so please let me know in the comments because I'm ready to book it. But let's see the prices that Costco comes up with for me. And once again, I'm including flights out of Miami to keep it comparable to our cruise. And wow, this price gives me so much hope. All inclusive, including alcohol and flights for just $4,037.92. That's more than $2,000 less than the Icon cruise. So hey, Royal Caribbean, listen up. I don't see any justification for you to raise your cruise prices even more, because this kind of competition is turning the head of even an avid cruiser like me. But wait, you say, it's perhaps unfair to compare this resort to one of the newest and biggest cruise ships out there. Okay, I'll take that challenge. Let me find you a cruise that is on an older ship, and let's see what we come up with. We'll do as close as the same days as before and stay in Miami like before. And I'll go with the Independence of the Seas, which is an older but really lovely ship. Of course, the Independence of the Seas isn't going to have a lot of the bells and whistles that the newer Icon of the Seas has. It's about 15 years older, but it's not so old that it has shower curtains, which I know are pretty much universally hated among cruisers, so we won't have to deal with those on the Independence of the Seas. And for 2 people, in a balcony cabin, I'm at $3,633.06. I'll tack on an allowance for alcohol rather than the expensive drink package, and we're at $3,983.06 for a week-long cruise. That's just $54.86 less than Costco's deal for the Grand Fiesta Americana Coral Beach. But wait, you say, I don't need to do things as fancy as all that, because yes, there really are much, much cheaper vacation options out there. Like, well, this great deal at Great Wolf Lodge for the same week as that Icon cruise, but is less than half the cost. But my friends, I'll be honest, that doesn't sound appealing to me, at least not at this stage in my life. So what does all this tell us about what cruise prices are doing and might do in the future? Well, sadly, it tells me that they may still try to squeeze even more money out of us. They are, after all, in dire need for money, since they are pouring so much of it into new cruise ships and new private port options. And unless people simply stop cruising and do seek out alternatives, like I've shown you today, then they're really not going to hear any kind of message from consumers that they need to start dropping the prices. That said, based on the prices of comparable land-based vacations, I personally don't think that cruise prices will go up much more. But what do you think? I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. And as always, thank you so much for watching, for hitting that subscribe button, for commenting, and for making this channel such a wonderful, supportive community. I'm so grateful for you.